the Pod Network Entertainment.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this program are the speaker's own. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. This program might include strong images or language and may not be suitable for all audiences. This podcast was mainly created for fun and entertainment. And because we're the only podcast that has a big enough bravado to talk about all these. Viewer discretion is advised.
There's this friend in my life where he wasn't the best boyfriend, if I can say so. He had like a long-term relationship, and he was still talking to a lot of girls. I wouldn't really know what kind of conversations they were having, right? So hindi ko alam, like hindi niya pinapakita sa akin kung ano yung mga text messages or like yung mga, I don't know, what kind
But
of.
hindi ba siya red flag?
It definitely is, like at least for me, right? So I haven't really had like any particular thing about cheating per se. Kasi yeah, that's something that I've never done. Although I've never been a cheater, I've been a cheatee, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've got cheated on. But this friend over here is like, he just kept on talking to a lot of people, still having Tinder or not Grindr. It's like Tinder or Bumble. It's like in his phone. And I thought of this thing where we can talk about this because one of your past episodes, it's like cheating pala ba yung chatting behind your partner's back. And this is like, a lot of people will definitely say that chatting lang naman eh. Like hindi naman kami gumagawa ng kahit ano and whatnot. But for me, I don't know.
Yes.
But how say you guys? But it's still a form of cheating for me, I would say.
Parang I guess we have a different takes. We have different takes
Did
nung
we?
episode na yun. Nung episode na yun.
Oh, did you?
Pero parang
what's
for
your take?
us, parang it depends on the context of the conversation. Kasi sometimes
Sure.
it gets toxic if like you would say na, oh, you're chatting behind someone. Paano if it's a workmate? Paano if someone na parang within that
Depende on
person's
the
network?
nature. Pero if it's very flirty yung nature, I feel like even if there's nothing physical, sometimes the emotional cheating is kind of heavier than the physical attraction or the physical activities that you do with that kind of person.
Kasi depends din also on the communication between partners. For example, with the friend that you've mentioned na marami siyang kinakausap behind his partner's back. So technically, that could lead, I mean, I'm not the partner, pero that could be cheating. But let's say there are instances na parang sinasabi niya parang kausap ko to, ganyan, workmate ko to.
Eh, hindi na yun behind the
Oh, hindi na
partner's
ba?
back.
Pero chatting.
Oh yeah,
ano,
that's true. Yeah.
Oo. Parang ganun.
There's there's a sense of approval pa rin, whatever. Kasi at least you asked. It's not behind the back. Kasi behind the back is a parang concept na hindi alam ng partner mo. So parang just the idea that you're hiding it from your partner, I feel like that's betrayal in the sense already.
And I think, Yuki, meron din dito yung it depends sa apps. But nasabi natin to. Kasi like, that's also another thing. Like, for example, if it's, Instagram Messenger, that could be not, that could be talked about. But if it's in other messaging apps,
Telegram.
like Telegram, I think it would be more likely that it is cheating. So
Sure.
we also,
It's like
I think
basically,
that's also in for
basically if there's a
Gen Zs.
username, ganun. Kung may username, yun yung problema.
Hina-hide yung name.
Disappearing messages in 30 seconds or 10 seconds. That's it.
True. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah. And it's like, it's like the best kind of relationship, I would say, is like the best kind of relationship is it's not even asking your partner, but like instilling the trust ahead of time, early in the relationship, to not make, some sort of red flags and say that, you don't have to tell her or him na, oh, I'm chatting with this person or that person, because you know in yourself that there's nothing going on. I think that's the best kind. And again, you're definitely correct. I think it depends on what kind of context the conversation is. If it's work related, syempre, it's like, it's work. Wala tayong magagawa eh. But if it's something like, hey, what are you doing? What are you wearing? Pang chika wow.
Oh my.
Yeah, mga
Kumain
ganun.
ka na ba?
Yeah, it's
Saan
like,
ka punta?
I think kumain ka na ba is still like, it's still pretty
Medyo flirty
tame.
siya for me.
Talaga ba?
Oh, really?
Kasi you wouldn't
Ah.
ask person kung kumain na siya other than if you would care for that
Hindi,
person.
pero pwede naman kumain ka na ba? Gusto mo mag-lunch? Ganyan.
Oh,
Nag-aaya ka lang mag-lunch. Pero hindi naman
Nakauwi ka
tipong-
na ba?
Oh,
Kumain
yun,
ka na ba?
yun.
Ayun, yeah, you know? So unless you're the last person to see him or her, tas like, concerned ka lang for his or her well-being kasi syempre, if you're the last person to see that person, then baka ikaw yung tanungin ng mga tao kung bigla siyang mag-disappear, di ba? So it's like, it scares me. At least for me, it's like, it would scare me if ever that's the case kasi it's like, dude, I'm the last person to see this guy and he hasn't, like, wala pa siya dun sa bahay niya and whatnot. So I would be scared. So I think it definitely depends on the context and if it's something work related or if it's something like, it's like passing anything like that when it comes to either professional or just being just friendly, I think is okay. Pero like, hey, you want to meet up and then you hide that to your significant other.
Ayun na.
Yun na yun. Mm-mm. Yeah, there's just something about that. Alrighty, so that being said, welcome back to the Kingdom Podcast Season 4. My name is Yuki. Before I introduce our guests here, I wanted to let you guys know that no pressure, that this is actually the season finale of Season 4.
Oh, wow.
So, not for you to bring it, but you should
Okay.
definitely bring it. But this is the season finale. We'll be doing like a month long break, and then we'll go straight to season 5 right after that. But it's last but not the least. Obviously, we got 2 podcasters on the show. We are ready to freaking talk about something a bit different when it comes to the approach of this podcast. We're basically a K-pop podcast, but I think it's about time that not that we're veering away from that, but it's about time to open up our borders and talk about basically the elephant in the room, which is like just an amazing elephant, if I can say so myself. And for full transparency, I've changed my mindset when it comes to this culture, this genre, this kind of music. And who better to talk about this than our Gen Z boys from Ganito Kasi Yan. Please welcome Jacob and Lance. How you doing, guys?
Hello, Yuki.
Hello, Yuki.
Once again, I'm Jacob. I'm Lance. And you're?
I'm Lance. I'm Jacob.
I'm Lance.
We're from
Ganito
Ganito
Kasi
Kasi Yan. Yan.
Identity crisis.
And it's
Guys,
good to
so-
be here in your podcast.
Thanks. I appreciate the time. And this is obviously something like I would assume that this is not your usual setting when you record your
Yes.
episodes.
Yeah.
Can you tell people where you guys are?
Ayun.
We're-
So, na, dulcet, to ang intro. K-pop. Ganun sa K-pop.
Oo.
Tawa, ito ang Hana, dulcet, ito ang ganito kasi yan.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go. Hana, dulcet, ito ang ganito kasi yan. So, I am Lance,
And I'm Jacob.
and we are Hana, dulcet, ganito kasi yan. So, ganito kasi yan is a podcast by Gen Zs and for Gen Zs by Age and Heart. So, we cover a lot of topics. So, very Gen Z niche. So, we cover about friendships, relationships, and we also get to talk about P-pop and people in general. We get to have these conversations with very, very amazing people. And one thing na naging niche ng GKY in the past months was talking with P-pop groups. So, can you
Yeah.
tell us more about that, Jacob?
We spoke with some of the biggest and rising P-pop artists like PGYO, Beanie, Alamat, G22,
Vision, Aja.
Heck yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
parang we have these solid conversations with them and background that we could say na parang if you want to listen more with them, like get to know them more, you might want to check out our episodes in Ganito Kasi Yan.
That's awesome, guys. Yeah, it's like the non K-pop topic that we actually talked about was based off of their previous episode where cheating pa ba ang chatting behind your partner's back, which I thought was a pretty cool episode. Everyone should listen to it. So, guys, what are your socials? Where can we find you before we actually start things off?
It's a Ganito Kasi Yan pod on Instagram. You might also want to follow us at GKY pod on X. And also you might want to check our exclusive videos with some artists at Ganito Kasi Yan on TikTok.
Awesome. Well, do you guys want to like tell your personal socials, or is that something private?
I'm the Charles Jacob on all social media platforms.
And LNC RVDA on Instagram.
Heck yeah.
Parang kasi you usually do these plugs at the end of our episodes.
At the end of
So
I'll definitely ask you again, but yeah, that's something that we just wanted to get in there. So, guys, I am, for full transparency, I wasn't the biggest fan of P-pop, and I can definitely say that I'm someone that I'm more of like a purist at one time.
Purist.
Yeah, it's like that's the word I would use. Where it's like, why would I listen to P-pop if I'm looking at K-pop and I've been a fan for 15 plus years? So I'm looking at it in a way that it's like why would I listen to the copycat? Dati. But then it's like something like Beanie happened in my life, and I'm just like, and I watched SB19 in Asia Artist Awards, and I was floored with the sheer amount of talent. And there's always that stereotype when it comes to Filipinos, right? It's like Filipinos, like, we're the best singers all over the world. It's like, it's something that we're very much proud of as a culture, that when there's a Filipino in another country that has a microphone. Yeah, an American Idol, right? So, but even in the small scale, like kung may karaoke or videokehan in a different country, and someone in the crowd is a Filipino, probably 8 times out of 10 that Filipino will belt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely is, at least for me, that's definitely the X factor when it comes to P-pop as a culture and as a genre, because we just know that they're going to kick ass, and I'm definitely, it's like, I've definitely changed my mind when it comes to P-pop. There were, again, full transparency, there were times in the podcast where we might have had an opportunity to guest, like, the Beanies and the SB19s and the BGYOs at one time, where I had such a closed mind. But I thought, like, the catalyst for me was definitely Beanie, and just the sheer amount of talent and the prowess of these girls and what they've accomplished so far. SB19 definitely opened the doors, but for me, Beanie just blew the door open, at least for me. Now, I wanted to ask you, being the ones that are more well-equipped when it comes to talking about this, since there are comparisons with K-pop and P-pop still up to this day, and we can't really blame those people, it's like, were there there are stark similarities, but are there any kind of also differences in your thoughts that, puts P-pop not necessarily up top, but something very different, and could be listened to by other people?
I think since Lance is the one who listens to both P-pop and K-pop,
Yeah.
you can really give something.
Parang for me, I think the top of the list, the idol culture. Ibang-iba ang Filipino audience sa K-netizens online, and even in how they view artists. Like, we know that in
Sure.
may mapunta lang sa isang bar somewhere, there would always be a controversy somewhere in Naver. But in P-pop, and even in how idols interact with their fans, it's really, really different in a sense that that it's authentically Filipino. For these idols like sina Sheena, sina Mika, to reply these things to their fans, that you can't see K-pop idols doing it unless they're on Weverse or something na na parang more in a global audience. But we also have, kasi we are also innately comedians, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think being really exuded, yung charm nila was being this relatable, funny girls.
Unserious.
Unserious. Yun yung term na
Personality
ginagamit for.
talaga.
They have this unserious personality na naging charm sa fans, na nag-draw towards sa kanila with their interactions on Twitter, and hindi lang Beanie. But even with SB19, I think yung parang closeness na barkada culture na parang we usually see this in circle of friends in the Filipino context, but nadala nila in the idol level, in the idol fan level. And I think that's something that's very, very unique when it comes to a P-pop, unlike when you see it in K-pop. Like parang you would just see them from afar, and parang you would rely on fan meets or parang the fan calls and all just to have those interactions with them. Go, Jacob.
I agree with that. Kasi parang with the P-pop groups, parang mas malapit sila sa masses. Like we've seen Beanie going around Baguio, parang handing out flyers, talagang busking. BGYO also did that, and Beanie did that when they were in New York, I think last year. And parang mas malapit talaga sila kasi parang like we see in their lives na they really try their best to interact with their fans, na they make sure na their fans aren't really like their fans lang, but parang they treat them as friends. And at the same time, they don't hesitate on calling out their fans. Kasi parang
May maraming
with
instances
K-pop, parang hindi masyadong
yan. Parang there's this fear of
Oo.
backlash.
Fear of backlash when you call out your fans. But with them, parang there's this sense of responsibility na they can call out their fans, and they are brave din naman enough to show the na if there's something wrong, like for example, recently, yung kinatok si Gwen sa hotel room nila.
Or yung kay Aya.
Yeah, or yung kay Aya din na dinisturb siya nung vacation niya sa Cebu. Parang there was really a calling out that happened about that. And I feel like it's really important then to call out the fans kasi there's also behavior din na mali.
That's what you call sassing sa K-pop naman.
That's true. Yeah.
Go.
And yeah,
Yun.
I'll add later.
I'll add them
I mean-
later. But basically, that's it.
Yeah, I would say that I think we're a more relaxed kind. It's like P-pop as a culture is like, for the what is it? It's like, can we say idols? We can say idols, right? Like P-pop idols. Like, is that the
Yeah.
term?
I think they use that term.
Idols,
Yeah, yeah.
artists. Yeah.
The artists. There you go. Yeah, for the P-pop artists, I think they have a more relaxed kind of management when it comes to dealing with fans that really don't know, because it's always been prominent, regardless of where you are. Is like what kind of Hollywood, obviously, that's a thing. K-pop, that's a thing. Any kind of music genre, with the Taylor Swifts, with the Sabrina Carpenters and things like that. They all deal with fans that really just don't know their physical boundaries, But I think just P-pop artists have a more relaxed kind of approach to this, which I think is a good way, because it also gives them the identity of them not only just being artists, but these are human beings.
Yeah.
And that's not steering away from anyone, like from the K-pop or I say Hollywood or Western pop. We're just looking at this in the P-pop standpoint, where we just know that they're human too, and there's something that's humanizing when it comes to them calling out the fans that just don't know where to stop, because it's very prominent.
I actually agree with you on that human aspect of P-pop artists. Like, especially in the times that P-pop is just being introduced in the Philippines.
Yeah.
One anecdote I could tell was when I was in high school, SB19 was just starting. Parang hit song pa nila nun was Go Up. And then SB19 went to our high school for a Korean culture event. Like it's in coordination with the Korean embassy. But basically, parang they performed in high schools throughout the country. This was, I think, 2018. So we
Man, I'm
got to
old.
interview
Fuck.
them. I got to interview them for a local campus school paper. Parang, you can't see, I don't know, X or even 17 in the early days having such engagements with just
Yeah.
as like high school
With
students, and such.
students. Yeah.
Really. And even with Beanie, parang even as before na parang in their earlier days, parang mall shows and all, parang
They also did Baguio.
Oh, Baguio.
They went busking and then they went parang it's in the teasers of their mga vlogs na they were giving out flyers na you can see in their humble days talaga na they really did their best to promote the group on their own.
yes.
And the effort that they put in to become the Beanie that they are today.
Kaya nga I think yun nga yung parang our words that we use are artists, not idols. Kasi I think when we say that they're idols, like in K-pop, parang we are putting them in a pedestal. Na parang there's a smoke screen between us and them, na parang we can't reach them. Or if we can reach them, that would be only be for a limited time. Or for example, in the 17 concert, the last one where I was in, nakawayan ko lang sila sa may carts, sa may bleachers. But
Right.
in K-pop, parang you get to interact them with more. For example, in events, parang yung may isang incident si Maloy ba yun?
Yung binigyan ng
1,000 na pamasahe.
Oo.
You wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
imagine
Yeah,
either
yeah, yeah.
Osana or Dayon doing that. Parang yung ganong small instances na parang it makes them more human. But I think the downside with that also is like the concern right now with Beanie would be the recent event in Pangasinan and in the Independence Day concert.
Oo, yung
Where
safety.
basically it was free admission. So people had to rush through. There was the race of Stampede at
And
parang
yung Pride din.
yung Pride ba? Hindi sila nakapag-perform
Oo,
sa
pero
Pride.
one of the bigger reasons din nung overcrowding nun is
Overcrowding.
Beanie din nun.
Oh, parang yung overcrowding of people. Parang though there is also these parang
Free
downside.
events.
Na parang ganun din na I think the management should be more careful about.
Yeah.
I think they're more being careful right
Yeah.
now. Na parang the downside lang of being more human is like yung parang boundaries din na parang disrespect. Na I think P-pop artists and management should also assert in the coming days. Weeks.
I think definitely people from the P-pop community, you know, whether you're a fan or you're an avid listener or watcher, I think they should definitely have the opportunity to call out these people as well. It's like, you know, we're not really. I also think that because we're Filipino, there's no gap when it comes to what kind of culture, you know, because obviously, you know, as K-pop fans, we're looking up to Korean idols or Korean artists that they definitely have a different set of, you know, culture that we definitely should kind of know and respect. But when it comes to not kinda, so like, but we definitely should know and respect. But when it comes to P-pop artists, like, we're all Filipino. It's like alam natin kung paano dapat tayo bilang Pilipino umakto when it comes to, you know, other people, like other artists or people that are, you know, mostly it's like under the famous microscope. Kasi nga, you know, they're famous. They're above us when it comes to kind of stature in the community. Kasi they're known compared to, let's say, you know, myself, where it's like I'm just a podcaster. It's like I don't get stampedes whenever I go to the mall. You get what I mean? It's like, so I would assume that as Filipinos, we definitely should know how to react when we see them in public, especially when they're with family. That's just like that's a no, you guys. And definitely people should definitely call them out. Kasi I would say they're assholes for being
Makapal
like,
masyado
you know,
yung muka.
masyado.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh.
masyadong FC. Yeah, that's just way too much. I
feel
don't
in
think that's a
the-
thing.
I feel like in the local scene, it's also a big issue, yung boundaries between fans and artists. Like, not just in P-pop, but in general. Like, I feel like that's the difference between other cultures and the Philippines. Kasi parang, in other countries, parang they respect na, oh, you have your personal time, na hindi ka like, for example, sa plane, di ba? May Filipino FA ata na kinall out
talaga?
na sa 17
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
17.
Yeah.
17.
No, parang, I feel like it's a local...
It's a Filipino
thing. Na parang even if you're in a resto, having lunch, na parang someone
Uy,
really,
pabati po,
oo.
pa-shoutout po, pa-sign po nito. Yeah, that's That's the toxic part of
Very,
our
Yeah, I don't
idolism.
know, guys. Like, I don't know. I haven't really, like, I've seen famous people, like, in a public setting. I was like, how about, like, hi, good evening po. I hope you don't mind, but can I maybe get a photo or get an autograph or something like that where you can be as respectful, you know? It's like, not like, stick a fucking camera in their face and it's like, pa-shout out nga po dun
Pa-shout
sa
out po.
jowa ko. I was like, what the fuck, you guys? It's like, just, it's like, be human. We don't have to be that bombastic or that passionate when it comes to meeting them in a public setting. Again, they're supposed to be, it's everything, everywhere is supposed to be a safe space for them. It's like, if you respect them to a certain degree, you should definitely know how to approach them politely. As Filipinos too, you know, we have this culture of being very respectful for you know, to our parents even. You know? So I think that's something that should definitely be still instilled when we meet these artists in a public setting.
Yes,
It's
and
horrible
Yuki,
what's happening.
I want to also raise like the timing of P-pop this year. Parang P-pop was really on the rise this year. And
Oh, yeah.
coming from a P-pop perspective, I'd assume that it was Beanie that was the catalyst talaga. I mean,
Yeah.
SB19 was
Definitely.
there before. They were there before.
Yeah.
But yung boom ng Beanie after Tala Arawan, that was March this year, na parang after on Tala Arawan.
I feel like it's Pantropico, rather.
Parang
It's pantopico,
hindi,
yeah.
Pantropico.
Pantropico, pero
ba?
mas nag-boom siya dun sa Salamin.
Parang two-step.
With Tala Arawan.
Parang with
Yeah.
that na parang timeline na. I think it's also because on the timing of the K-pop fans tuning into P-pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parang I'd like to think I don't know if it's just my opinion or your listeners can also relate with this. Na parang oversaturated yung K-pop, especially in the 4th and 5th gen. Parang they kept on releasing new music na parang for me, in my opinion, they sound almost the same. Or parang I can't find something new.
Sometimes a bit lackluster. I would I would
Lackluster.
agree with you to some degree. Yes, for sure.
And saturation in terms of music releases, but also in events of artists. Like you have 3rd, 4th, 5th gens na parang may release sila na song but also sunod-sunod yung concert. So parang if I am a 3rd gen K-pop fan, na parang I don't want to listen now to the new ones. Parang nag-stick ako doon, but at the other time na parang napagod ako or parang mag-stick muna ako dito, wala silang bagong release like Blackpink for example, na parang it was the perfect timing for Beanie to come in. And because Beanie was different, especially on how they, parang you being unserious, funny, their music really was a blast and all, na parang it blasted the door, like what you've said, for P-pop to come
Yeah.
in. And it's not just Beanie. Even SB19, yung pagtatag tour nila was also this year, right?
Last year.
Last year ba hindi
Yeah.
Araneta?
No. They had their first Araneta.
Basta yung
Late
parang recent
last
events
year.
ng SB19.
Late 23, I think. Yeah.
Yes. And even in Alamat, parang sila din yung na
Yeah.
parang nag-boost lang ng boost for P-pop to be known today. And I hope it could be sustained more in the future.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with you there 100%. Not to discount anything that SB19 did. I think Gento as a song was
Mapa.
just
Yeah.
Mappa and Gento, but mostly Gento because Gento was the one that it's like Mappa will always have a special place in everyone's hearts if you're a fan of SB19. But Gento as a song really opened a lot of doors when it comes to knowing what P-pop was. Kasi nowadays, like it's not difficult for you to trend, and Gento was that thing. However, to a degree, and I agree with you 100%, Beanie's Pantropico and Salamin Salamin just basically blew out everything when it comes to opening any kind of doors for people to know what P-pop is. And again, it's like, relax, people, commenters in the
Love you po.
YouTubes and TikToks. I'm just saying here, from a K-pop fan's perspective, I would compare it to how the rise of Girls' Generation was or Twice. And I'm not comparing Beanie to Twice or Girls' Generation, just the journey of where, if you remember here, yeah, it's like, right, Lance, like, if you remember here, we're looking at Girls' Generation with G and Genie at 2009, 2010. Those were two hugely hit songs. And then Twice did Cheer Up and TT. Or like Ooh Ah and Cheer Up, which were... Yeah, they were amazing songs, and they were in succession of each other. And we're looking at Beanie, who would probably be the closest thing to being what a nation's girl group is. When it comes to P-pop, that might be controversial to say. I'm not discounting any of the others, like Kaya or G22 is a girl group, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not discounting any other P-pop artists here. I'm just saying that when it comes to who is the nation's girl group, it would probably be Beanie, hands down, because of the sheer amount of, like, not only the talent, but the sheer amount of success that they've already had in the short amount of time that they've been active. So, again, this is not me comparing P-pop to K-pop or anything like that, but there will always be some point of comparison, I would feel, as a K-pop fan and a P-pop fan. And that being said, I wanted to ask you guys, what would you say to people like me, where back then I was very hesitant on listening to P-pop because, like, dude, K-pop, I'm already listening to K-pop. I have the New Jeans and the Seraphims and the Ives and the, and the 17s and the BTSs. But at the same time, this is something that is definitely homegrown.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are similarities, but there are also differences. And I wanted to ask you guys, being the experts compared to myself, obviously. Yeah, but compared to myself, like I know not a lick of a clue about what's happening. It's like in a more deeper level, but I'm only just looking at P-pop in a higher perspective where I know P-pop, I know Beanie, I know SB19, I know BGYO and things like that, but I really just don't follow them as much as I do in K-pop. So being the experts compared to myself, what do you say to fans like me at the time where I just want to listen to K-pop and not give P-pop a chance? Because it's like, dude, I'm already listening to quote-unquote the original formula, you know?
I think Jacob would be the best one to answer that. Kasi
Yeah, I
siya yung
think- yeah,
nag-convince
Jacob
sa akin
is like,
na
yeah.
mag-listen din to P-pop.
And it worked.
Ikaw, so...
I think it just proved na parang the perspective kasi before of P-pop is ang corny.
Parang
corny,
copycat.
That's true. That's
parang
true, yeah.
second-rate version ng K-pop. But I feel like now we've seen how they've had, maybe for some time they were on the shadows of K-pop, behind the shadows of K-pop, but now I feel like they've grown into their own niche
Genre.
talaga and genre. And then you could really see na even if there are nuances that are quite similar, na parang them being very song and dance groups, very performance types, visuals, even the structure of how we do or how we compose, or parang the structure of these groups are very similar. We see how they have differences, how they touch on local cultures, how they are someone then that are relatable to the Filipino audiences. Because let's be honest, one of the reasons na parang a lot of people then, let's say, kaya a lot of the masses kind of catched on Beanie kasi they're very relatable, they're very understandable, or parang there's someone that connects to the struggles of the Gen Z today, and they touch upon the issues that they face. And I'm such a yapper, I hate it. But ang dami nilang save me, lads.
Ayan.
Pero ang dami kasi nilang parang they kind of
Dami nilang offerings to the public.
ang dami nilang ino-offer, and they're not hesitant into showing their vulnerable side.
Yes.
So, and I feel like there's a lot to explore from K-pop, for P-pop. At the same time na, I mean, we can appreciate both naman without looking down on the other.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
go Lance.
Ayan.
That's awesome.
Kanina,
I love that. Yeah. I just want to say I love that.
Yeah. Kanina, Yuki, your points on like popularity and all. Like, how can you say Parang in K-pop kasi, we can say that this song is really popular with the general public because of the charts, the racks, packs, and all. But ask me, how can I say that? Ask me that, how can I say that a song in P-pop is popular? In terms of being the song in the birthday parties, in the graduation ceremonies.
And,
For example,
and the fact na nung nag-release ng album si Taylor, hindi one of the top.
natalo si Taylor Swift. Natalo si Taylor Swift. Dito sa atin, natalo pa siya. Para for example, Mapa was the graduation song probably last year. But it's Carrera this year. Para mga previous years.
Wait lang, bakit graduation song? Pang parents yun.
Oh, yun. Thank you so much.
Baka you're thanking your parents kasi for, helping you graduate.
Parang ganun nakita ko sa TikTok.
Okay.
Birthday party. Yung mga bata. Parang dati para spaghetti pababa. Well, that's, for me, that's
done.
But also, they're the ancestors of people. Ancestors? What? They're the predecessors.
Yeah,
Sorry
they're Gen 1. Ganon, Gen 1.
Parang SNSD twice. Sex bomb, Beanie. That's how I compare it. I'm sorry, that's your generation also.
Yeah, that might be controversial, but that's my generation too. I grew up with spaghetti pababa and jumbo hot dog. Kaya mo ba to?
Parang they consider that was P-pop but I am not a scholar in P-pop. Oo, diba? Sabi nila.
I don't know. I can't say. I live that. I don't think so.
Parang it's not
like,
that established that it's P-pop yet.
Yeah.
But the core characteristics
We never had
being
that term,
dance challenges, yung parang very performative, very popsy songs na idol groups also na parang sila yung for me may similarities in the not so distant past.
Sure. Okay.
Parang, I think you would have your take on that.
Yeah. So, well, it's like saying like we would consider Willie Revillame as one of the solo artists.
Oh no, he's
for
novelty.
P-pop. It's like, oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's novelty. So yeah, that's a different shtick, I guess.
Different genre.
But yeah, I guess if you put it in that perspective, like they could be Gen 1. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're being considered, I think, in some circles.
Yeah. Okay. It's like, and again, not discounting any other acts there. I'm just saying that they probably, like that quote in K-pop, they paved the way to, SB19 and Beanie and G22 and the likes to blossom to where they are now. I guess like final thoughts here on what we wanna instill to, at least like for someone still like me, kasi not that I'm in the fence anymore. It's like I'm not there anymore. It's like I think I've ridden the Beanie fandom, and I can't say I'm a full bloom. I don't want to put labels in, what I'm doing, but I am definitely a fan. If anyone sees this that are P-pop fans, for GKY listeners that has any contact with Beanie, please tell Mika. Sarang her. But, it's like, how do you do that? How do you do that? But, yeah, it's like, I just wanted to say,
muna,
it's like, I guessed it in another podcast, and then he was like, Eka muna, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, okay, it's like, I didn't know. I'm so clueless, but now I know. I wanted to ask you for what's your final thoughts on what kind of impact P-pop had as in a general sense, and what can you say to people like me who are still kind of like in the fence at one point, but is now pretty much open on listening to it.
Ayun, I think for me, I for one am also that I am also part of those people na parang I was hesitant first to listen to P-pop because it's probably K-pop, but it's just Filipino. But listening to Beanie, even in BGY, I think they're the first groups. I mean, SB19 is there. I've listened to them, but I've been following BGY and Beanie before, and now with Alamat, Vision, G22, and the others. Na parang I think you just have to try it out. Parang kasi there's no harm in just listening to one song and then telling yourself, oh, I like this song. Parang there's no harm. Yeah. For example, in Beanie, parang Dati, I think, medyo, I don't see them in a good light kasi with the coconut nut. Yung parang binaba sila before
Yeah.
the debut. But now,
Yeah.
na parang,
Rough.
very rough. But
Rough.
still. So parang, there's that perspective na they produce good songs. And I can say na parang, what's good in listening to P-pop, unlike K-pop, is, syempre in K-pop, although this is not like, parang I'm not saying na parang, it's a matter of language barrier, what. Pero alam mo yung parang, ang sarap niyang kantahin pag Filipino. Maiintindihan mo siya. Na parang, mas ramdam mo siya. Especially, I think, with Carrera. Parang you know that niche in K-pop that they would produce these upbeat songs pero napaka-emotional pala. That's Carrera for us in P-pop. Na parang, mas you can get to hold on to, na parang mas nagiging spirit anthem, spirit war, fighting anthem mo in life, na parang,
Sure.
okay, and then you'll find yourself later on na parang you would want to listen them as you commute and all. And actually, Yuki, I predict that Beanie would beat 17 in my top artists this year on Spotify.
Okay. Kinabahan naman
Really?
ako.
Akala ko.
Sa
It's
ano,
it's a
diba?
personal preference, guys. Just saying, yeah.
Michael Sumono. Pero,
Medyo na-stress ako doon, konti.
pero parang, ganun yung impact ng P-pop this year that I would predict that even a lots of other K-pop fans, number 2 na lang yung mga K-pop biases and idols sila. Beanie would be number 1.
Tsaka parang, di ba, parang a lot of tweets na parang ng mga fans na, wag sana muna mag-comeback yung ibang groups na sinastan nila, or parang hindi nila alam kung paano ibabalance with Beanie kapag nag-comeback ng ibang groups and all that. So I feel like we can see na even if there's that difference, people are starting to appreciate it. And there's a lot of love for P-pop nowadays. And sana mag-continue siya, not just with Beanie, but with the other groups. Kasi at least Beanie kinda
Show that P-pop works.
Yeah, P-pop works, and it's not just sana for Beanie, and it's nice to see na Alamat is already on the way up, and G22 as well, and as well as
May iba pang groups.
yeah,
Vision,
Aja and
BGYO.
Vision, and then BGYO, SB19
Ando pa
still
rin.
there. So yeah.
I think we should also give a shout out to Horizon as a group.
Horizon,
Um,
yeah.
You know, the K-pop group that's all Filipino.
Are
I
they
think they're
K-pop
doing
or P-pop? Wait lang, sorry.
They're
I wasn't
K-pop, I would
K-pop
say.
ba?
But they have a
Yeah.
local song coming out, Sumayaw Sumunod.
Cover
Is
ba
that
yan o bagong
it's
song?
like as a cover?
Oh no, but they have Tagalog and Korean lyrics.
So,
Holy
sumunod,
crap!
Korean?
Really?
Yeah, based sa
my
media
God.
ko nila the other day.
Oh my God. Paano yung Korean?
That's interesting.
Diba?
But yeah, it's like
Okay,
you know that's also something like you know as a group it's bridging the gap of what kind of things we can expect from Filipino artists that are basically you know bridging that gap when it comes to language barriers at the very least. And I think what this episode entails is that definitely people from the K-pop standpoint should give P-pop a chance because P-pop is just taking the world literally, it's like, you know, by storm and just, not literally, figuratively, and just making everyone know what P-pop is and what P-pop we can expect from them. So I think at the very least we should give P-pop a chance. And I myself, you know, being a non-fan back then, have now changed my ways and my mindset when it comes to actually standing and listening to these people. And that's actually mainly because of Beanie. And I wanna I wanna thank everyone that, you know, asked me to listen to, you know, some P-pop Beanie songs and it's like just changed my mindset. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what they can do in the coming future. We just know SB19 is gonna be, you know, a banger of a group all throughout. Like I don't know if they're going away anytime soon. They're amazing performers.
Yes.
And that if we look at just like those two groups, it would give us an idea of what the P-pop community or the P-pop culture can show the worldwide stage. That being said, yep, you were saying?
You might want to check out Alamat.
I will.
Their lyrics, they incorporate Filipino folklore legends. Like it's an upbeat song,
Oh,
but
yeah,
at the same
yeah, I've
time
heard
there's
of
also
them,
mythology
yeah.
and all.
Yeah.
You might want to check that out.
Yeah.
And also,
yeah,
they
yeah.
have different Filipino languages in the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, you would listen to Tagalog, then biglang may Kapampangan and all. But it blended so well. You would want to check that out.
What an interesting concept too,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check them out for sure. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation. Well, guys, that being said, this is the end of season 4 for everyone. Before we go, I want to thank both of you for doing this. I know it's probably hectic kasi medyo traffic ngayon, napauwi na kayo, and I know the Katipunan's like freaking place. I live in Cubao, so I know it's horrible right now. But thank you for your time. I want to ask you guys to again please promote the show, where we can find you, and what kind of publishing cadence you guys are, so that we can stay tuned to your next episodes.
Ayun, so once again, sa listeners ng Kingdom Podcast, once again, thank you, Yuki, for inviting
so
us
much,
here.
Yuki.
Especially for a season finale. That's
Yeah,
kind
oh
of,
my
meron may pressure doon. Especially. But, for your listeners, you might want to check out the Ganito Kasi Yan podcast. Podcast by Gen Z's, for Gen Z's by H and Heart.
Now
On
the
Pod Network. And, ayun, you might want to check our P-pop episodes. We talked to Beanie, BGYO, Alamat, G22, Vision, Aja, and we want to talk to a lot more groups in the coming days and weeks and months. But also, you might want to check out also our different episodes. We have this segment called Tugon Po.
Yeah.
So that's the segment that you were mentioning with the episode on GD or chatting, where we talk about relationship and such. So you might want to check that out, and also our socials. Ganito Kasi Yan Pod on Instagram, at GKY Pod on Twitter or X, at Ganito Kasi Yan on TikTok, and it's LNCRVDA on Instagram.
Check out on all social media platforms, and yeah, we're also on Spotify, all Apple Pod, and all streaming platforms, and stream Trash by BGYO.
And stream Cherry on Top.
Cherry on top, yeah, for sure, yeah. So wait, 1 second before we go. What? You're now under TPN? It's like we're sister podcasts now?
Yes.
Yes.
Holy shit, we gotta do
Just
this
had an
again, guys. We gotta
Yeah.
do this again. That's amazing to hear. Well, everyone, that's the show. Thank you so much to everyone. It's like we've had such a substantial growth for season 4 on this podcast. I want to thank everyone who listened and watched, and even those that spewed a ton of hate towards the show. We appreciate the time, and we appreciate all of your insights, and appreciate everyone who tuned in and listened to the show. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again for season 5 in a month, I guess. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
The Kingdom Podcast is brought to you by the Kingdom Podcast creative team. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at the Kingdom Pod PH. All episodes are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thanks for listening to the show, and see you next time.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.